I remember when I first started working with the medicine, even on a hero's dose, my ego and my fear was so strong.
Jesus, you had a
I was like holding on to like, I used to wear this amethyst on a hemp rope and I would hold on to it. And in the medicine journey, I'd be like trying to pull myself out. But my resistance was keeping me from enjoying the roller coaster ride. And so now when I enter the medicine, I'm like, okay, the ego death is going to happen. So I can either resist it and it can feel like razor blades just like chopping me up, or it can feel like the juiciest, most orgasmic, like expansive energy that I've never known.
Hello family and welcome back to Who on Earth. This one's season 2 and we started like we do every season of Who on Earth with a good healthy dose of our Echo. So Echo Widmer came back on the show. So we're going to have a little catch up. If you don't remember Echo, she's from season 1, episode 1, right when I first started. So this one I've learned not to have the microphone hanging in front of her face. Always a great start. But she's come on, she's given a little catch up of what she's been up to since she was last on the show. And then we have a beautiful, interesting deep dive into the Bufo retreats that she's doing abroad, where she's bringing like vipassana and ecstatic dance, and a bit of cold water and share circling, all this beautiful stuff just to help people go beyond that veil, the illusion of who they think you are, identities, attached beliefs, the body. We're clearly not that. It changes. How could we be something that changes? We are what's beneath all that. And we're going to discover it in this episode. So if you want to go beyond the veil with me and Echo, now is the time. Season 2 has arrived. Whoop! Peace and love. It's a new season, but it's the same old sponsor, and that's Transmute Studio. Beautiful centre in the centre of Manchester, Northern Quarter. It's got loads of the old stuff like the African drumming, the African dance classes. They've got salsa now as well. They've got the beautiful Arignani, ceremonial ecstatic dance with wizardry from the show. But also, my alter ego DJ Moksha has made an appearance with his new ecstatic dance, Liberation. So, sound baths, Kundalini yoga, candlelit yoga, loads of beautiful events there. It's all about wellness, culture, creativity. What's going to do a better job of explaining it than my little mouth is going down to the socials, the website, and seeing it for yourself. So I'll put a link in the description and you could maybe come float in one of them hammocks with myself. But for now, guys, enjoy the episode. Peace and love.
Welcome.
We've gone too far now. They don't see the 30-second silence. So it's your second time on. This time, for starters, we don't have microphones blocking your face, so everyone can actually see you this time, not just hear you. And some of the guests, like I was telling you, since your one, we've been actually letting them offer some of their, say like it's a song, a poem, whatever it is, breath work. So would you be happy to start us off with a little offering of your own?
Let's see what wants to come. Yeah, it's so interesting. And we can talk about this in a bit, but like I've been on such a journey with opening the voice, and sometimes, you know, people will be like, oh, can you offer a song? It's like, well, I have to see if the drum wants to play me. It's not about me playing the drum. It's like, does it want to play me? So let's see if it wants to play me today.
Nice. The throat was ready and the drum wanted to be played. Or wanted to play you, was it you said?
Yes, yes.
So you're a friend of the show.
I'm a friend of the show.
And I'm going to be starting, no matter what happens, I'm going to be starting season 2. I feel like each season now is just going to start with echo.
An echo.
It all began with an echo.
It's the thing that comes back around again.
I like it. Yeah. So if anyone doesn't remember Echo, she was actually our first ever guest. If you haven't seen that, maybe just go watch that first. That was a bit more of a summary. Can't summarize a whole
If there is a summary.
A whole human being in one episode? I don't think so. So we've got you back on. And we've been lastminute.com, haven't we? It was like, I'll see how I'm feeling, because you have got a lot on. So where are you now? What's happened since the last time?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think any human being is kind of like you were saying. It's like to sum a human being up in 1 hour is not so easy. And plus, it's like we're a human process. Like it's constantly unfolding.
Human process, I like that.
And I feel it kind of makes me think along the lines of like what Nietzsche and Osho say, in the sense of like, we're not human beings, we're human becomings. You know, we are constantly reiterations of, we're echoes, like we're echoes of ourselves. There's so many reiterations. And so I feel like I've died many, many times since we last spoken. And I've also become more to life as well. So it's been an interesting time. At the moment, I've just come back from Mexico, leading retreat and ceremony. Now I'm back in Europe, and it's sunny/rainy today in the UK, quite typical, before heading off to my tour in Europe for the next 2 months, teaching, playing music, and offering facilitated spaces of like movement, unfolding, disintegration, dissolution, whatever it may be. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've also been through a lot of death processes since we last happened. I mean, we were on one together a little bit, weren't we? And one thing that really helped me with that, because I was having a lot of issues with receiving the moment, receiving the sensation, receiving the person, the environment. It was always, the suffering was coming from me not being able to receive. And you said, you can ask the master medicines to work with you, just like you can ask the breath to work with you, the drum to work with you. It doesn't have to be this, but why not let it know who you are a little bit? And I don't know if you remember that. And you can also speak and be like, this is a bit much for me. And then it's almost like someone said, trust the guru in you, trust the God in you. And it was just like, and then the softening, all this tension against this new way of experiencing reality. And the reason I'm sharing this is because this is very much on touch with what we're going to be talking about. This like, oh my God, this isn't the norm, was what the problem was. The lesson, I should probably say. And it was like just...
Or the discomfort. Yeah.
The discomfort was trying to allow me to grow beyond what I had become attached to. And that is painful. And it was just your advice just before it. I don't know how it would have gone without you. But I had been on a loop. So it was like panic, excitement, calm. And that was, since I'd woken up, it was... And by the time I got to that point where I was talking to you, I was like, okay. And then when it did come, it was like, does this make sense to you? Like a ripple overtook me. And it was like, next thing you know, it almost, if you could imagine, this thing rippled away the tension and the stress. And then it was hilarious. I don't know if you remember during the ceremony, I was laughing my head off because how serious had I been taking it? This game that the gods had made to go and have fun, and I'm taking it goddamn serious. And that was just hilarious, and I couldn't stop laughing. So you said you've been doing a few retreats of your own. Yeah.
Well, I think it's really perfect. We didn't organize this to speak to this specifically. So I love that this is what you brought up in this sharing, because it threads to like where I'm at right now. And I just this morning did my own, instead of celebrating birthdays, I'm now celebrating my earthed day, like the day I was earthed. And so I've turned it into like a day of celebrating life. And so we celebrated today because
What do you mean by earthed? For somebody who might be a bit new to this sort of
so instead of a birthday, because I find it so interesting that we celebrate this day, that when I think about it, a child comes into life crying and it's screaming, and it seems like it enjoyed wherever it was before. It's like it comes in, it doesn't know where it's at. There's all these lights in its face, these people speaking a language it doesn't know. And we celebrate that day, and we celebrate the day that the child was born. And in a way, to me, it's a celebration of the mother, number one, because the mother opened herself to be a portal to creation. And really, the day to me is not so much a birthday, but an earthed day, like earth with ED at the end of it, as if you've been earthed. All of a sudden, you were somewhere else, and now you've been put on earth. And so you're celebrating this day you came into this experience, and you decided to check the list off of like, okay, I'm going to be a human now. Like, here I am. And so this morning we did an intention setting circle. And so we lit a black candle for what we wanted to release. And what we wanted to release with compassion, not like, oh, I don't like this part of me. I want to kill this part off. I want to get rid of this part. But in compassion, like, okay, you've served me and now I let you go. And then we lit a white candle for what we want to breathe into, what we want to accept in. And my prayer for what I wanted to breathe in was receiving. And so it's interesting that that's where you were. Now I'm back in that cycle of noticing that love has come into my life, and there is this block in me through partnership of being able to receive love. It's like we heal ourselves not to finally find love or to find abundance or to find purpose, but so that when it does show up, that we're even able to receive it. Because if we don't heal, if we don't work on our blockages, when love comes, it's like, pouring into a cup with a lid on top of it. Like everything just splashes out. And so as love is like pouring into me, I have to like put a cap on every like quarter of the way and be like, ooh, okay, it's a bit uncomfortable. I feel crunchy here. And I have to remember my breath, play my drum, play my guitar, do my practices to like let a little bit more in, because I've had that blockage for so long of like the limiting beliefs of I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I can't have everything, I can't have purpose and love, to being like, I can have it all. Like this is an experiment, the human experience.
Almost you have to let yourself have it all.
And why not give myself the opportunity to have it all? Why wouldn't I have it all?
I totally understand what you're saying. I've had some parts where I've been working very closely with allowing love in. I was doing a happy ceremony just last night, and I physically feel the block. It's like, and then I feel a part yearning for it, but not the part that just knows love as truth, the part that feels like it never got it. So it's about just sort of like this softening into the moment. And almost saying, if you're not ready yet to that part of yourself, that's okay. Yeah. Not forcing it to let love in. Just being like, when you're ready, I want you to know you're safe. And just doing that with myself, very much bringing the feminine essence in rather than this masculine. You will love me. Yeah. Why are you not letting the love in? And then all the parts become discordant. I think you're familiar with IFS. Yeah. So like you understand.
IFS therapist.
There you go then. So we're starting to feel a bit more like love is being let in.
Yeah, well, and it's beautiful that you just brought off IFS, because I had a session with one of my clients yesterday, actually, and so much whenever I have a client sign in to like work with me, I notice that we're very much aligned with the stories that we tell ourselves. And so that even though I'm in that role of facilitating the space, that nothing comes into my life that's not a direct reflection of me. And so whoever I'm helping that has like a limitation or a certain weakness in the system, I also possess that. And maybe I've gotten less, like I have less limitation and deeper capacity, but I see myself in it. And there were these two parts playing in her of this very helpless part that felt very victimized, that felt very like, I can't do it. I'm too sensitive. My partner's frustrating me. I need to leave. I need to be alone. I can't do it. And then this other part that was like, get your shit together. Why can't, you're the medicine woman. You need to be stronger. You help other people. You need to be able to help yourself. And I just asked her, I was like, okay, can both of those pieces exist at the same time? And can you give love to both of them? Because that part that wants you to be strong and resilient, it loves you. And that part that's helpless and that feels like it can't do anything, it loves you and wants your acknowledgement. Both need acknowledgement. So how do we invite both into the conversation without villainizing either of them? And so I'm doing that with myself day in and day out, especially in intimate relationship where my partner reflects like such deep love, but also deep truth. Like I can't hide any of my shadows or any of my insecurities from him. Even if he doesn't speak to them, I can see it in our connection when it arises. And so it calls me forward to speak to it.
I think that's what it's about. Sometimes people are looking for happiness from a partner, love from a partner, whatever, inspiration.
I'm looking for wholeness.
Mine is, if my partner isn't helping me to become more conscious, accepting all these different parts of myself by loving them when I can't, or I'm loving them when they can't. Like, this is almost like you're just filling a hole I'm not letting myself fill.
Yeah.
You make me happy because I'm not doing it right.
Yeah.
You love me because I'm not quite loving myself right now.
Yeah.
But if they can go, I see where you're at, I'm here, and you just sort of bounce off each other in a loving way. I think it's the same action, but just with a different energy behind it. That
is a conscious relationship, and I feel I'm noticing around me, like we went through this shift collectively that maybe like the general mass population didn't go through, but those of us that are walking the path, that are wanting to like wake ourselves up to not be plugged into a system. There was this whole, in the last years, like this run towards polyamory and to openness and expressing ourselves. And I think that came from like a deep collective place of repression and suppression and being locked down, our love being locked down, our sexuality, our bodies, like so much being locked away. So there was this overindulgence and like, I will take back my power, my sexuality.
Like balancing it by going too far the other way.
Yeah, too far. And so now I see we're teetering back in a direction where I'm looking around and I'm being reflected constantly. Divine union, devotion, like deep, deep devotion, deep like choicefulness. And I feel for myself anyhow, like coming from that place of deep openness, I chose for myself last year, like I want to be in deep devotion. I want to find divine union. I want to be reflected. Like I want to grow with somebody. And boom, you know, I like asked for that and it came in. And then I was like, oh, I actually have to do it now.
Shit.
Like, it's an initiation to be chosen and to choose. It's like such a deep initiation. And in this partnership, when my insecurities come up, when my fear comes up, when my doubt comes up, my partner just says, like, I'm not going anywhere. Like I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. And he doesn't offer me advice. He doesn't offer ways to fix me. He's not trying to be my hero. That masculine,
like, oh, there's a problem. Let me tell you A, B, and C, and D of what you're not doing right. But no mansplaining. So he just sits and, you know, like I cry, I'll be in my fear. And I'm like, but what if? And like, how come? And, you know, and he's just like, I'm not going anywhere. Like I choose you. I want you. And I told him, I'm like, you might have to say this to me like over and over for like a year before my nervous system actually believes you. And, you know, I just have to be honest and say, you know, I'm sorry. I've been doing the healing without you for so long and there's still work to be done. I have distrust. I have fear. I have insecurity. That comes from the choices I've made in my adulthood and the partnerships that I've put myself into, which were damaging. But it also comes from a childhood of still limiting beliefs that made me make these choices. Well, you shared with the audience last time how it wasn't smooth running.
Exactly. Still doing that work and without getting into the story of it with him either. It's just like, okay, this stuff is there and it doesn't define me. My story is not everything that I am and I still have to work on it. It's homework and you're with me now. And so now it's also your homework to hold space for it. And so I feel grateful that I think in a healthy masculine pole, he can just be patient. He can just be like, okay, here's the insecurity again. Here's the fear. Here's the doubt. And instead of judging me or being righteous, just love me through it. And I can be accountable enough to say, I'm here again. And I'm not going to stay as long as I did last time. Each time I get a little bit closer to security and to consistency and to trust. But I'm here again, and I don't go into shame, and I don't go into guilt, and I love myself in that moment, and we both are like reparenting those parts of me. And I've told him before in conscious relationship, I'm like, look, my insecurity and my fear is the sacrifice right now at the beginning of the relationship, and I'm being vulnerable enough to sacrifice myself on the altar of love and say, okay, here's my fear, here's my insecurity, here's my doubt. And I was like, but it won't always be me. And one day it'll be you. And one day I'll have to hold space for your insecurity and your doubt and your fear because you're a human becoming. You're in your own imperfections. But at this moment, I need the patience. I need the time, the acknowledgement, and the love. And when you need it, I'll hold it for you. And so his comes too in waves. And I see the beauty of letting it be reciprocal, where it's not always me being held, that it's also him being held. And it's not always me being in the feminine principle. It's sometimes him being in the feminine principle and us going back and forth where sometimes he's like, I just need to put my head in your lap and like, I'm feeling a lot of things. Can you just hold me? And I'm like, yes.
It's like, that container, isn't it?
Let me hold
that container, that safe container for these more vulnerable bits, which then can be creative, can be nurturing, can be expressive, compassionate, but it needs it. Well, it doesn't need if you're like mastery level, but even then, like that's so much pressure. Like I really resonate with where you're at there, because I'm doing my own bit with the divine masculine. Not just this. I had this shame about like feeling like a little boy, not feeling like I can provide and protect, and that little boy part when challenged, being a man, that sort of, and it's like really triggered. So if it was triggered, it means that it can't fully believe in itself. So maybe I don't feel capable of doing it. And it was like this moment of just sitting with myself and going, sometimes I really am not capable right now. I'm actually not in that position. And once it's done that, it's almost like that vulnerability is far more respected. And I felt this sort of bitterness part where it's like, oh, I've got to be the masculine container 100% of the time. Where's my head? Where's my laptop lying?
Yeah.
Where's my container? I'm not there yet. And it was when I finally just accepted I'm not there yet that all of a sudden I started feeling more capable of doing it. And I think maybe it's because I'd allowed the vulnerability in myself and something in myself had just gone contain. It was really helpful during the ceremony that I was previously talking about. Yeah. The grandmother was coming, and I was doing the whole, hello, Michael Hill, date of birth, all that sort of stuff. And then it was like, it was getting a bit much. And I did the thing you said where it said, can you go gentle? And it was almost like a little snarky look, like, I don't know what that it was, but something felt like that. Like, oh, right, yeah, you need me to be gentle. And then this really, and I mean almost like this ancient energy within me, this ancient masculine energy. None of this boy energy of just like, peacocking, lion manes, all that. It just went, almost like looked at the grandmother energy and I could almost feel this bowing to it. And I was like, oh shit, and that's within. And that's what I've noticed. Sometimes when you get pushed to a certain bit, it triggers something that's been dormant. And she almost was like, from then, we were just working, and at no point did I feel scared, because that was within. Yeah. And I think that's what allowed me to finally allow the ripple. Yeah. And it's like, and when you feel that masculine container, the father that's within us all, it does allow the more feminine way of being and just softening. And then that turns into this beautiful expression. And I do want to bring in the sort of retreats you're doing, because that, to me, is some of the most powerful work we can do if it's with reverence. And I believe you are one of the people doing it with reverence. So could you let us know a bit about the work you've been doing since we last saw you? Yeah. Well, and I also want to speak to those of you that might be a little bit confused about exactly what ceremony. We were talking about abuela. And I think it's really important what Michael has said. It's like sometimes we work in, it could be medicine of plant and animal medicines, masters. It could be breath work, it could be yoga, it could be music, it could be whatever. But sometimes the ceremony just becomes so intense that we get taken by it. Like people get flooded by those feelings. And you can, in your prayer, say, like, can you be a little bit more graceful with me? Can you be a bit more easeful? Because I have had, my 4th or 5th cup of medicine before when I'm sitting with cactus or when I'm sitting with Aya. And the medicine is so strong that I just like put my hands on the earth and I'm like, okay, mother, or like, hey, great grandfather, like I'm doing my best to feel, and this is intense for me. So if there's any more graceful or slow way that you could show to me, I still want to be taught, but I'm just needing a bit of ease. And when I do that, I feel that I'm answered back with ease because it wants to work with me. It's mind-blowing. Yeah, and it can feel what I'm capable of. And so sometimes it gives me what it thinks I'm capable of. But in that moment, I'm like, I see that you see my capability, but I don't see it yet. So I need a little bit more ease. And then they're like, okay. And they like reel it back. So the ceremonies that I'm working with, and to just be a little bit discreet, I work with a medicine referred to as 5. And it's also known as the God molecule, the God particle. And it is the most profound and strong entheogen known to man at this time. And for many years, these medicines were referred to as psychedelics, which is of the mind. So psychedelics, the word breaks down to the etna, how do you say it? The ethna. Okay, I can't even do it. The study of words, but that'll do. That'll do. Breaks down to the roaming of the mind. And entheogenic is about it. When you break it down, it's the divine within, like seeking the divine within. And so
a new word was created in the last few years because psychedelics wasn't really giving the depth, like the breadth of what was being experienced with some of these master plants and master medicines. And so 5 is this profound medicine that is connected to the toad in the Sonoran Desert. And the medicine, it lasts 15 minutes, but it's timeless when you're in the portal. And I have experienced it in many spiritual communities, and it's now become this fad to have these profound peak experiences, but there's no integration. And so I remember when I was first initiated, it's like, boom, 15 minutes, I meet God, I completely am obliterated, my ego is pulled back, I merge with the divine, my ego dies, and I come back and I'm just like, what the actual fuck? And so when I came back, I, of course, had a profound experience. And because of all my work with yoga and meditation, I was able to somewhat integrate myself, but hold on, the incense is getting me. Can I have some of your water?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry for the coughs, guys.
Don't be sorry. Just release.
I'm not sorry. I'm having my needs met.
Better.
Thank you. It's actually quite symbolic because every time with the medicine, when I go into ceremony, water's my anchor. And so now that we're talking about it, it's kind of funny because my friends that I work with are like, Echo's always grabbing for her water, which brings me back into the earthly realm.
I don't go anywhere. When I see someone walking without water, I'm like,
yeah,
it blows my mind. It's like, how are you not?
But sometimes for me, it's too much of a safety where it takes me out of being in that field because I'm like, bring me back to earth. But so anyways, after working with this medicine for 3 years, I worked with different shamans, all male. And this is, nothing in generalization to a male shaman or a male medicine man. But what I noticed was this like masculine energy of 15 minutes, profound merging, come back, and that kind of like, be resilient, you've got this, like buck up and just be with it. And that worked for a bit because a part of me really needed that. Like a part of my victimized feminine needed the strong masculine energy to give it to me and give me the medicine and then like leave me on my own to handle it. But after a few years, after I became more centered, I aligned with another female medicine woman and who is like profoundly connected to the medicines, been working it for 10 years. And she had an idea, and I had my own individual idea to bring a feminine energy to how you held ceremony with such a masculine medicine, because it's like penetrative, quick, and it just is to the point.
When I was speaking with Ruben, we had him on shortly after you, and he says when he's done work with that, it's like there's no sort of interpretation, there's no it's just this.
Yeah.
Whereas I is very much like, hey, it's genuinely, you can feel the energy behind it.
Yeah, and they're great allies, like Bufo and Aya, 5 also referred to as Bufo Alvarius. They're great allies, not too closely together, but when you work with them, I feel like Bufo, you meet God and you are like directly, bluntly, it's like being punched in the face by God is what I say. I feel like God is punching me in the face.
Well, I've now experienced it since we last saw each other, and that's probably the best way of describing it.
I love God. God. And then you come back and you're like, where are you? And he's like, or she, she. They're just, you're left to your own accords. You're like, whoa, I'm a human again. This is crazy. So anyways, my friend and I, and my ally and I, we created a retreat that is 10 days because both of us had been to so many like 1 day, 2 hour kind of ceremonial events where you do it, you're out, you are on your own. And if you're not somebody that has a lot of physical and spiritual practices, it can be lost. The wisdom of it can be completely lost because it just becomes one of those wild experiences that you say you had,
and you tell your friends,
and then you move on. You tell your friends, you post about it, and then it doesn't get integrated into your everyday life. So we both come from the vipassana background, and so vipassana is a 10-day silent retreat. This practice was founded by Goenka, and it is like an ancient practice of just stillness, 10 hours of meditation a day, eating very minimally, kind of ignoring the body a bit, no reading, no writing, no music, just nothing. It's the renunciate path of 10 days of being in such discomfort and having everything taken away from you that's distracting and being sat in yourself.
It's a game changer.
So that you meet your truth, which is profound medicine, which if you never touch plant and animal medicines, the medicine of silence and getting rid of distraction will change your life forever. And
I think that might be one of the most powerful things I've ever done.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm a meditation teacher first and foremost.
Yeah.
And also, it's nothing outside of yourself.
Yeah, it's profound. And what we both experienced is like we had profound experiences within those meditation practices, many, many years over working with silence, and then many, many years working over with the medicine, and then them being separate and us seeing, this separation, if it was brought into connection, it could be something revolutionary. Because Goenka, the founder of Vipassana, he would roll over in his grave if he knew that people were using plant and animal medicines in connection with Vipassana. But the thing is, times change. And
I think there was a lot of talk about alcohol abuse and drug abuse, and I think that's almost just labelled it all. Like I was speaking to a friend the other day, and he was saying his religion's vilified music, but they're hearing get this girl, get money, fuck this, fuck that. Yeah. They're not hearing the medicine music that me and you listen to.
Yeah.
So it's like just almost like
drugs
is a very vague word for what we're talking about here.
Well, and I think as well, it's like I was talking to a friend about this yesterday, actually, Levi, and we were talking about dogma. And for him, he was talking about the importance of tradition and the importance of who brought, yoga to the West, who brought tantra to the West, all of these big practices that were life-changing, and how they were the tradition and they are like the end-all be-all. And I said, no, they're just the first. They're the first. And the reality is that time changes. But I think as humans, we get so stuck on who did it first that they own it. They have the stamp of like, this was mine. And I thought, you think that no one would have ever done postures, like stretched and thought, wow, this feels good.
Have you seen a cat?
Oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in a heated room. And we talk about Bikram, Bikram brought hot yoga and I'm just like, well, pretty sure lots of people have been cold before and done yoga in a worn room.
Should we never grow and evolve then?
Should we never grow and evolve?
Yeah, I'm not sure that quite works.
Yeah, so we had this whole discussion about that, and I thought, regardless of what Goenka would have thought about Vipassana, this isn't a sacrilegious practice to him. There's great respect. We both have benefited so deeply from his practices and what he created. And we live in a world now with great distraction. When Vipassana was there and we needed to get people out of their distractions, this was before cell phones, before Facebook, before social media. We're so much more distracted now. And what I feel that plant and animal medicines do, that meditation has a more difficult time at the moment doing, is blasting past the veils and the obscurations and the illusion, because we're so like deeply embedded into the world of avatar and to distortion that particle, like it coming into the world only really in the last 100 years, I feel almost like life, God, divine, whatever, planted it in the toad.
It's not by accident.
Not by accident. I mean, it wouldn't exist if it wasn't here to assist us in some way. And I think that it's popped up at this time and it's become such a huge thing, a huge ripple in the world, because we've never been so distorted. We've never been so eluded. And this blasts past that. And and so if you are stuck in your like deep limiting beliefs and you are looping and you are not in love with yourself and you are not in love with your life and you are not letting love in and you are suffering day in and day out, this medicine is not a drug. It's like a gift to not become dependent on. It's not something you become dependent on. But when you do it that one time, that you allow yourself to be so completely obliterated, for your ego to be so deeply pulled back, that when you land in these retreats that we're doing, you have 10 days of meditation to integrate yourself. Like you were there meditating.
That's exactly like that. When I heard of Vipassana, I was like, oh, I see the potential.
Yeah.
Like, I respect your opinion, but what you're doing, I'm like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Not just, right, come on, next one.
And it's bringing people to Vipassana, because we're also saying, like, we don't want you to be dependent on this medicine. It's like you come, you sit for 5 days in silence first, you learn the Vipassana technique, then you have your first ceremony, you're deeply blown open. I come in, I DJ, I play music to allow the body to be free. We do water therapy, we have saunas, we have ice baths, we're not ignoring the physical form. And then you go back into your meditation each day for 5 hours a day. And then on the 7th day, we have another ceremony where you go back in with light work, where you're not going into these hero doses, but you're keeping the ego attached. You're meeting front face, like right in the face, your fear, your insecurity, your doubt, and you're working with it. And it's multiple rounds. So it's like being in the ring. Like we're there to assist you, two feminine like principles in deep love and empathy, saying you're capable, you're powerful enough to do this. Face your fear, face your doubt. You have 10 people holding space for you, surrounding you with love to make sure that you're safe so that you can be aware and sit there and meet the void instead of just when we do a hero's dose, we throw you into the void. You know, you meet God.
I've done it. There's, I remember you telling me there's being on the edge. And when you do the hero, it's just, you've not got a choice. It's almost like a feather trying to stop an earthquake. But when you're having the small amounts, I can feel my parts getting triggered. That's like, oh, we've got to do the work. Yeah. And it's like, oh.
And you can hold on. Like, I remember when I first started working with the medicine, even on a hero's dose, my ego and my fear was so strong.
Jesus, you had a
I was like holding on to, like, I used to wear this amethyst on a hemp rope, and I would hold on to it. And in the medicine journey, I'd be like trying to pull myself out.
Have a strong ego.
Oh, very strong. Well, it was more it was the fear in the ego, so much fear. And I feel like people with deep, deep fear that really fear this medicine, they're the ones that really need it the most.
So Michael's the name, meditation is the game, and Meditation with Michael has now launched its very own website. Everything I'm doing is going to be on there. From meditation classes, which you can join in person, catch up if you missed one, or just join online from the comfort of your own home. One-to-one sessions. We've got loads of freebies like the chakra meditations, and we've also got a new 10-day beginners course. So if you really want to build that strong foundation, I've suffered with anxiety, depression, suicidal tendencies. I've lost family members. I've been an addict, unhealthy relationships coming out my ears. Meditation was the panacea. Learning how to sit with any sensation that arises really just helps you to master that patience, and those who master patience, well, they master everything else. So I want to pass that on. It is my purpose to alleviate my own suffering, show others how to do the same, and we can all live more peacefully. It sounds all right, that, doesn't it? So this website is a lovely little hub for you to find everything I'm doing, from the ecstatic dances to the floating meditation journeys. I'll put a link in the description. Go check out meditationwithmichael.co.uk and awaken the power within. Peace and love, guys. I remember you saying to me before the Aya ceremony, by this point, I used to get scared. Now I'm like, what? Like, let's hey, Aya, how's it been? Whereas for me, it was the other way around. It was going into Aya. I was like, oh shit. Which then when I learned to receive and what I'm actually got residing, and then if that's what I've experienced that time, what else am I not aware of that's within me? It was like, by this point, I was just like, I did have the fear, which is natural of God, like you should do, like that's ubiquitous between the human race because it's helpful. But it was like, whatever happens right now, and I was with a medicine man and woman, two different people who were really balancing it out. I just felt so held in the forest. It wasn't in some little den where we were just, and it wasn't loads of people, and it was just. Do you mind if I just share this bit? And it was very much a trusting with it, and mine was a hero's dose. It was no choice, but it had a flavour of when I'd done DMT. It's obviously the same thing, but this was a bit more like intense. It was like the hero's dose, like you keep saying, and I felt it becoming so overwhelming. It was, you know, you've had an itch your whole bloody life, and so it just came and went, and it was just everything. Does that make sense? Everything, but like until the point it was just like at the same time, like, and then it was like something. I don't know if I was saying it or something was saying it. Who cares, man? And someone was going, remember the release, and as it hit release, it went release, and then I was going and there was all this pain I'd had in me. Oh my God, I
get chills when you say.
When I think of what I went through. And I was carrying that before, and I was still trying to I feel emotional. I was trying to help. Yeah. I was walking up. I was literally conquering addictions. I was doing it, and I had that in me. And it felt like it wasn't even just mine. Yeah. And people, I used to scoff at ancestor stuff and all that. And to me, something kept going, thanks for doing this for us. Thanks for doing this for us. Almost as if there'd been other incarnations And it's all the same soul essence, but they knew that this particular avatar would be at the point that it could hold it without breaking. So whatever the Michael character is had gone, I'll do that for us. And I'm sure there's others doing it for me right now. And it was that, and then, and I never purge. Like, I never, unless it's like me.
You purged on Bufo?
I never purge. Wow. And I've had it where I'm like, making myself sick because I don't like how I feel, but never like and it wasn't chunky and it wasn't loads. It was just as I was doing the release like that, and it was thick and God knows what it was. Wow. And then it was like I had Pandora's box of trauma, and it just, like I said, that earthquake had just gone. That's not even a good enough. It was just like God against a breath. It was just, and next thing you know, the death of my dad. And then it was like, I'd never allowed myself to be angry at him, but he died because of his addictions, to like, just he drank a bit too much, he smoked too much, and he was not a bad guy, but the same stuff I've sort of had to go through, so I can really have compassion and empathy. But my dad's dead, my hero's dead, I want to get angry at him. So I never let that rage out. And once I'd let that's literally how it was. It was crazy. And then anger, pure rage to the point where I'm shaking, and then it's like, and I just let it out because I'd realised it had all come from suppression. It was the release. The release was so beautiful, so beautiful. Pure anger was nothing to be scared of. Pure sadness, pure grief, they were beautiful without any sort of like, oh, but I'm in a room where other people or whatever. And it was just finally allowing it out in the forest, just allowing it out. Hitting the floor, my ego started coming in by that point, sort of understanding where I am, and then it was like, oh, I don't like how I feel, and then another part went, no, we're not done here, and it was like, get back here to that rage, and I don't know, it was very strange, and like screaming, guttural screams, roars, until it finally got to the point where it was out, and I was on the floor, and then I felt sick. Ego started coming, I don't like feeling sick, and then someone went, well, how does that want to release? How does that work? So it's like, bleh. And I just like going, bleh, bleh, bleh. And then it was laughter, because it was like, that's what I'm scared of. This sick feeling was just something that I just wanted to go, bleh. Yeah. And then the medicine man was quite a good musician as well, so I'm like shaking my hips and being like that, like, because I have a very silly side, and I think we both do, and it's like almost suppressed by like mum and dad or pet or teachers or people who just aren't in the mood for a loud, silly kid. But that's how my vessel likes to channel energy, and it does. And it's always got this low-key energy of everyone's taking this serious. Let's just take the piss. Yeah. But obviously with reverence, if we can do, and that amount of suppression, it was like, I'm letting myself be silly. So I'd be going, oh, ha, oh, ah. But it was like, you know, when you see a baby, it's pure terror, then it's pure sadness, then it's pure happiness, and it's like this, rather than with all these blocks that it's got to go through like a maze. So I just wanted to share that with you and with the audience, because I feel like it's an example for them of somebody who has been so scared of this stuff. But, and I want to say that I'm not advocating it. I'm not saying you should do it, or even you should do it, or even I should do it again. That's my experience.
You feel called to it.
If you feel called. And people who are doing, and that's why I really thought it was important to bring someone like yourself, and not someone who's winging it in a centre, and there's 400 of you, and you've done it last week, and you're going to do it next week. I wanted the point about the reverence, the point about bringing the meditation in, the cold water, the dance. So
it's a profound experience, and like everything that you just said, you know, I've worked with it now for years, so I've done it dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and when I first started, I also needed to be obliterated and like move through my fear, my anger so many times. And just like I was telling you before we got onto this call, is the last thing that Bufo told me when I was in my 5 ceremony in Baja, California, or Baja, Mexico, is I came out of the medicine, and this time my eyes were open the whole time, even though I did like a hero's dose. Okay. I've been working with, how do I center this? How can I use this energy or let it use me in a way that's useful? Like, how do I take the wisdom of what is happening in the 5 space and bring it into the external world? How do I now channel this energy to be of use, to be of service in the material realm? And so my eyes were open, and everything, it was like I went in and it was like boom. and everything slowed down. And I just remember like coming in and like looking at my hands and seeing like all the energy moving. And I played in the space. I had 3 friends there that also work with the medicine. And so they had been sitting. We had done a sit together. And I went up to the other medicine woman. I just grabbed her face and I started playing with it. And I was like, and like she started, and I like tackled her and we start rolling around. And then I rolled to the other 2. And then I come up and I'm like back to being my, innocent child.
Yeah.
But I was going from like old woman sorcerer to like little child and like, and like running in the space and causing mischief. And after I, rolled around and did all my stuff and was coming back to, the words came from the medicine of, you can only have a bad childhood if you believe in a reality where there's a beginning and an end, because that's been the thing that's held me so much from being my child, from being innocent. And it also said, self-healing is a great place to begin, but it's not a great place to stay. And so it was kind of telling me, I've been working with you to heal your shit. And we've needed to get through your story of victim and insecurity and doubt. And I love you, sister. But it's not a great place to stay. Like, we've been working on you a lot. Now it's time to work on how can you be useful to the whole. And so there was a great humbling of, wow, this medicine is intense. It is so deep. It is so profound. And I've been running away from it ever since I started working with it because I didn't want to work with it. I think anybody that tells you they work with medicine, most will say like they were called to it.
It's not something you've just been like, all right, I've done it once. Yeah, I'll serve now. Yeah.
And I have people say like, oh, I want to be a medicine woman. I'm like, why? Like, do you understand
what you've got to go
what
through?
Will be called of you? Like, you're not going to just go and be the hero for people. You're going to be on your knees, like throwing up and purging and expanding and contracting and being obliterated many times, like many ego deaths. It's very uncomfortable. Make sure you know what prayer you're putting into existence. And so
definitely,
as I felt called, it's also like a deep responsibility to hold that space for many people. Like, it's not about you. It's not even about you being the medicine man or woman or the shaman. Like this, the modern day thing of like being the medicine man or being the shaman.
It's also ego boost. Yeah. I am the shaman. Yeah. I'm a master.
Yeah. And this to me, I'm like, you just holding the medicine. Like, there's nothing special about you. You're doing it, and thank you. Great. But what's special is what's been given to us. And the medicine, like, I am nothing in comparison to this medicine. And I'm grateful that it's like given me the space to hold other people in meeting it. But like, you are only the doorkeeper. Like, you're just there to open the door.
You're basically the bouncer.
You're the bouncer.
You can come in.
You are the bouncer. You are the bouncer. And so it's been so humbling to see people meet the medicine and meet their own death and meet their fear and meet their doubt and show up, where each time I'm so humbled, because when you get to witness somebody go to that space, witness somebody meeting God and the God in themselves, it's just like, like I just feel like I'm seeing this holy thing unravel. And so it is such a profound like service for myself and for Allie to hold that for people. And it feels so important to me to make it as safe as possible, because it's not safe. It's like, it's going to change your life. It's absolutely going to change.
It's not just going and watching the film.
No.
It's not going for a meal. Like, this is deep.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like it won't give you what you can't handle. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand how powerful you are.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
So when you're like, I can't, this is a bad trip, I can't.
And it's like, you can handle it.
It's like, you're still here.
Yeah.
You're the person going, I can't do this. Well, you're still here, so clearly you fucking can.
And every time, like, I see, dozens of journeys in, I'm only getting to the point now where I take the pipe, I breathe in, and I just let go. Because it used to be every single time resistance came up. I feared losing my breath. It was always a fear around breath. Because as soon as you are gone, there is no more lungs, there is no more nose, there is no more human that even breathes.
Downside,
you are breath.
Yeah.
You're no longer a breathing being, you are breath. And when your ego is trying to wrap its mind around the intellectual way of like, what does that mean to become the breath? You freak out because you can no longer use your intelligence. And as somebody with a lot of intelligence and intellect,
I can see we both use our minds to reason our way out of it.
And this makes it more difficult, because you are the whole way that you're breathing in when you first start working with it. Your mind is like, what's happening? Where am I? Left, right, up, down? Like, was 10 seconds? Am I still holding? Am I breathing?
Am I dead? Am I alive?
Am I alive?
Am I
dead?
Will I go back? Mine was, will I come back?
Yeah.
that attachment to, I'm happy to go on the roller coaster, but does the roller coaster end?
Yeah, does the roller coaster
end?
end?
And then people are saying, well, time no longer exists. So then I'm getting like, my big fear was I would be in eternity of hell. And although it would only be 15 minutes for the body, it'd send me insane. So when I came back, I wouldn't be capable anymore. But my essence is already eternal.
Yeah.
When it comes back into the vessel with the memories and the like, that hasn't really had much happen. And that's actually when the came out. Who knows how long I'd been in the... Like, that could have been, and probably was.
Yeah. But when you use the metaphor of roller coaster, it reminds me of a few journeys I had back. There was a metaphor that came to me of the reality is like being a human being, you are on a roller coaster and the roller coaster does end. The roller coaster of Michael, the roller coaster of Echo, it ends. And so you get on at birth and you get off at death. And what I realized was in the journey, it's like I can resist and I can like be in fear the whole time that I'm going to die and that life is going to end and when is it going to end? Or I can accept that I'm on a roller coaster ride. I can surrender. I can scream. I can enjoy the ride.
When you feel safe in the roller coaster, that's when it becomes fun, right?
Yeah. And just accept that you get one ride. You get one ride as Michael. You get one ride as Echo. And I do believe that simultaneously we're living in so many different timelines. So I feel like there are thousands of Echoes in one moment that are just...
Of echoes.
Yeah, just going. But my resistance was keeping me from enjoying the roller coaster ride. And so now when I enter the medicine, I'm like, okay, the ego death is going to happen. So I can either resist it and it can feel like razor blades just like chopping me up, or it can feel like the juiciest, most orgasmic, like expansive energy that I've never known. Because in my limitation, in my egoistic, I am Echo, I am form, I am woman, I am American, all these little things that we create boxes
labels
for.
Of identity,
When you shed them away, you become the breath. And it is the most like exquisite feeling when you can actually let go and just trust the medicine, breathe it in, lay back, and allow life to enter you and just awaken every 30 trillion like cells in the body. You become sensation. Your pain, anger, anguish, orgasm, ecstasy, joy, everything.
That's what I mean.
All
people
of
are like, what do you mean by everything? I mean everything. My little mind's going, the only word.
And your mind has to burst. Like at that point, like your intellect, everything, it has to be obliterated because we've never known everything at once. And it's such a gift. And if you can see it as a gift instead of, I'm being like killed off, then it can be exquisite. And I do feel what we're experiencing in the medicine is death, what we will experience when we die.
It's one of the big reasons why I'm doing it. I want to get off.
Practice
I want to get out of that plane with a parachute.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I want to understand if at some level, like, what is it like to not be the body, to not be this character that I've cleared? Like, it's like I've played Mario so long, I forgot I'm not fucking Mario.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I want to kind of...
But how cool that there's a whole other...
I can play Zelda.
Yeah.
Oh, I can play this, I can do that. I can like, that is amazing if you release the attachment.
And could we look at death like when we're sitting at the deathbed, like say I am dying and you're sitting at my deathbed, I get the golden ticket. Like I'm meeting what's on the other side of the veil. You have to stay. You know, it's like, we were like, oh no, Echo's leaving. But I cried coming into this world. I wanted to be wherever I was. What if we could be like, Echo's got the golden ticket. Like, are you excited? What's going to happen on the other side? I wish you could tell us. And if we could approach death in that way, wouldn't that be amazing? But our attachments, like we're just clinging and grasping. And my deepest desire is that in holding these spaces for other people, for myself, that we cannot die in terror, that we don't, because so many people die in hospital beds, clinging to a life that maybe they didn't even like or enjoy. They didn't even like themselves.
But it's all they've known.
But it's all they've known.
My grand dying, it was literally like, it was because she was a fighter. I've got that Burton energy in me. It will fight till the death.
Yeah.
Literally. And it's like, let fucking go.
And most of us are holding on to bodies that we never loved, that we abused, and that we picked at the imperfections the whole time. And we're going to a place where there is no body. There is no, you're just breath. You are just like sensation. And yes, I get it. We don't know what's on the other side. And no one
is scary.
We don't know until we know. But how profound that there is something on the other side. And one last thing that I want to say on that is, there was a big realization for me last year when I was in an existential crisis of languaging and of the fact that I was like, wow, I'm actually not human. There was a human being before the word human existed. So we used a word to explain an unnatural phenomena where we thought, well, this is a weird thing. What is it? What do we call it? So we call it human. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not human. Whatever it is that is human existed before the word and the language existed. So I was like, death actually doesn't exist. Death is just another word for an unnatural phenomena or a natural phenomena that we didn't understand. And I was like, holy shit, there's nothing to be afraid of. I don't even know what death is. I call it that because it's what everybody's saying. But I was like, I'm not human. Death doesn't exist. Well, like the natural world, we've given names to all of these things that were there long before us. And I just thought, interesting. So what am I fearing? And so my fear is slowly dissipated because I believe that life, whatever is behind the veil, is benevolent. Because as I look at where I've come from and what I've been given and like what I get to experience, even in the most challenging, the most painful things, the people that I've lost, that have died, that have betrayed me, that have deceived, all of it had to happen for me to be here today. And I love what I'm becoming. I love what life is giving to me. And I believe that whatever force is running the show is kind. So why would death not be kind? Why would whatever's behind the veil, when I no longer breathe or have a body, why would it be malevolent? And it wouldn't. Life has never been malevolent to me. Every painful thing that's happened has led to a joyous thing.
It's always been a lesson.
Yeah.
It's always been a chance for growth.
So I will let go and I will leave people in a sense behind, but maybe I become the wind. Maybe I become the water. Maybe actually I'll be more close to you than I've ever been when I'm no longer in form.
About the sort of container anymore.
Yeah,
to
if
keep
I'm not
us
contained,
apart.
maybe I am your breath. You know, it's like...
when we were on the first the ceremony that we were talking about, I felt my dad. I didn't see him and touch him and go, "You all right, Dad?" No, I literally got a hug from my dad. And people might go, "How do you know? It might be your mind playing tricks." Yeah, I'm open to that. I'm not going to be blind to that. So not... But it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was
like,
an energetic hymnus. And then I'm crying. I've gone from this hysterical laughter to this crying. And then my gran came. And my granddad came. My cats, everything I'd ever loved. And it was like a family hug.
Oh.
And it was, I just think, because we haven't got too much longer left. We've got about 10 minutes. Yeah. So we aren't done yet. I just wanted to bring up now, is there anything that you may want to share whilst we've got 10 minutes left? Something that maybe we haven't expressed since the last time we spoke?
I mean, I think that we walked ourselves to the most important topic. And the reason that I'm doing this work, the reason that I also became a death doula and death educator, is that I feel we've become so comfortable, comfort culture. Everything is comfortable. You know, we complain if our phone doesn't have Wi-Fi or we have to sit on the tarmac of the airport for 30 minutes. You know, everything is like a ordeal. You know, somebody doesn't give us cutlery when they bring our meal out and it's served to us. And
this is unacceptable.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. And I feel we've distracted ourselves so much that we put death very far away. Death happens to you. It happens to somebody, but it doesn't happen to me. You know, it happens to my mother or my father, all the people that left me, but it's very far away from me.
It's almost a concept.
And there is this understanding, like we know we're going to die, but like to live that experience before it happens so that you don't die in absolute terror the moment that the last breath is coming. I feel that this is like one of the most important practices, like our meditation, our yoga, and also just in contemplation. The more I've sat with death, the more that I've practiced death ritual, the more that I have been with it every day, which is uncomfortable, sitting so much with death. I have never loved so much. I have never given so much. I have never felt so abundant and less selfish and what's the word? Like just narcissistic, you know, that narcissism of I'm entitled, I'm an American, I deserve this, I deserve that, I need love, I need money. That falls away where it's like, wow, I look around at all of the existential beings around me and I'm like, wow, you came into life, you will leave from this life. Your lover, your mother, your sister, wow, the pain that you must experience in that. Oh my God, like so much reverence for you, my brother, so much reverence for me, all the people that surround me, that how could I not love? How could I not give? How could I not be kind and patient? And of course I fall off and the ego comes in and the entitlement comes in. But more and more, I've never been so loving and empathetic and holding. And I feel the more people that work with this medicine and that work in meditation and that look at death and that become friends with it and allies.
That's it, become friends with death.
Yeah, the more that we will live in deep beauty, because when you're that close to death, your life just becomes timeless.
And also you're so grateful.
Yeah, so
I've
so
had
much
somebody,
gratitude.
one last
so much
thing, I was
gratitude.
doing meditations for people before they went into Bufo ceremony.
Oh, good.
Which was an eye-opener for me. I learned definitely a different way of doing it than teaching beginners.
Yeah.
And someone came back and they went, oh, I'm so happy. And I was like, why? And they were like, I feel my pain. I feel my anxiety. They'd gone to a place where there was nothing. The medicine knew they needed to have it all taken away. So that when it all came back, all this pain, suffering, grief, anxiety, pain in the leg, bad, an itch you didn't like, whatever, was now like this gift.
I'm alive. I can feel.
Give me my dad for 1 second.
Yeah.
1 second. And you just wouldn't believe, like, I could have the worst cold, a broken arm, Dad!
And when you come back, I remember like some of the first things I love to do is like coming back and feeling the earthly realm. I wanted to like sweep my floors. I wanted to like clean my house. I was so grateful for all the things that used to be annoying. It's like, I don't want to sweep. I don't want to wash the dishes. I was like, wow. To wash the dishes. I have floors that I can walk on and dance on, and it's just like a child. Like this medicine to me is a reset. It is like, boom, you push the button, you blast off, and you come back to that childlike innocence of awe and wonder. And that's what I think life is about, is like that childlike innocence. Like we're trying to teach children. And I'm like, actually, I think that they're here to teach us. You know, who's the teacher here? Because when you really spend the day with a child that's still in that deep innocence.
Yeah, they're happy.
Wow.
And they're expressing. They're releasing.
And they're not afraid of their terror, their insecurity. They're just like, you're not playing with me. I want the toy. And they're just honest. They're honest and transparent.
And we all have that inner child still in us. We just sort of put them in a box to protect them almost. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. To become childlike, not childish. It's like, how do we become more childlike? Not childish. Yeah. And
also, I went to your last temple set with Nikki Cohen and Wizardry, who everyone's familiar with, and fucking hell, that was so good. You were like, I'm going to bring the darkness, and then I'm going to bring the light. Yeah. Shit. I was like, I was walking past people, just release, guys.
My new single's out, by the way. I have a new single on Spotify.
Can we please just plug that quickly before we go?
On Spotify, it's called Dharmata, which I'm sneaking in words in my music production so that people will go down the rabbit hole. But Dharmata is kind of known in Buddhism as that space between the inhalation and the exhalation, that spontaneous like awakening of nothingness, which is our true nature. It's like the nothingness and the everythingness that we experience in the medicine. This is Dharmata, and this is like our true nature. And so, you can find it on Spotify at Our Echo Dharmata. And it's a juicy, dark, bassy, tribal.
I love it. I've listened to it quite a few times now. And we've got Nixie on it as well, haven't we? Nikki Cohen's on it. So I love her voice. Yeah. That was like before ceremony, and she's just like, I'm like, wow.
She's a magician.
Yeah, for sure.
We have a group of magicians in this.
It's crazy the people we know. Like I'm just getting mates on. And it's like, how do you keep finding these people? They're friends.
Like I hang out with them. They're in my backyard.
Yeah,
right
Ruben, he's just a cool guy. Craig Seaton, Nikki, Wizardry, just Levi's. Come on, please, mate. When you've got, that's why I don't stress when someone says I can't. Like, I thought we weren't going to make it. Yeah. Because I'm like, I've got my ecstatic dance. You've got your stuff, and it's like,
here we are.
I'm going to see her again.
Yeah.
And if I don't, I don't. But whatever. I'm pretty confident that she'll be back. If not, so I think what time are we on? Yeah. So, I've got an ecstatic dance to go and do. Yeah. By the way, that's been alone. That's
I'm excited for you. So excited.
It's so cool. I was saying to Levi, just being able to take people on that journey, and not just here's drum and bass for 2 hours, which is cool, man. If you're feeling drum and bass here, but it's the journey. It's when you understand expression. Yeah. You understand. IFS has really helped me. Yeah. I'll say to them, how does irritation want to dance? Yeah. If you're really wanting a hype tune and it's not a hype tune on right now, how does that part want? Yeah. So I'm excited to go do that, but I appreciate you. We just managed to get you in, and I think the audience and myself. I don't know about yourself, but I loved it.
Super
grateful. I always
grateful.
love having you on.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to leave the guys with before we go?
Yeah, find me at Our Echo everywhere. OUR, like Our Echo. Instagram, YouTube, now Spotify. And yeah, I just feel really grateful to have conversations like this and for the information to be shared. And I trust that wherever the seeds get like planted, that slowly, like there is a big awakening happening in the world. And grateful to like be there just to walk with people and to have conversations as like we wake up a bit disoriented, like what are we doing here? What's happening? And grateful to be here to just assist and help along on the walk together, walk back home.
And I definitely appreciate the fact that you're doing this work. It means a lot to me after I believe that it shouldn't just be this, do a medicine, next week do another medicine, next week do it like that. That's such the culture we're already in. Take this pill.
Embody
eat this,
the wisdom,
that.
like embody the wisdom.
If it takes a year to integrate it, then it takes a year to integrate it.
Sometimes it does.
we'll let the guys digest it. I'll go do my dance.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming on until season 3, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Peace and love, guys.
Peace and love.
Now that's how you start season 2 of a podcast, is it not? What a character Echo is. I love the work she's doing. It's so powerful that I can't wait to do it myself, to be honest. It excites me. She's really making moves. So I'm going to put the links for Echo in the description. You want to go down to the website, the socials, all that'll be there for you. I'll also put a link for Transmute. They've got that new studio in Northern Quarter. I've got my own ecstatic dance there. Now I've got the floating meditation journeys, but we've got so much there. So I'll put a link for them as well. And of course, the new Meditation with Michael website is out. It's a beautiful one. I've spent so much time and energy getting this right. So classes, events, freebies, the podcast, community links, there's loads of stuff on there. Especially if you want a little Christmas present, well, now is the time because we've got the 10-day beginners course. I've got a nice little day one there for you that's free. Go check it out. I promise you build a strong foundation and you will grow from that. So the links for Meditation with Michael, myself, will be there for you too. Now, while you're waiting for episode 2 of season 2, why not go check out that season 1, episode 1 if you've not seen it already with Echo, or just go check out the whole list. The catalogue's there on the website now, so go see which ones you fancy in the meantime, because this one, episode 2, is going to be a special. It's with my very own love, Isabella Bradford Johnson, also known as Isabella Nutrition, naturopathic nutritionist. You're going to see where that's all come from. There's some real vulnerability being shared, but you'll also get to see the dynamic with me and the lovely girlfriend that I share this life with, Isabella. So that's coming out Christmas Eve, a lovely little Christmas present for you. But for now, guys, if you could just do a little like, or if you like the episode, go share it to another soul. Anything you can do, donate or subscribe. If you don't want to miss all these fantastic episodes, it's there for you. Otherwise, guys, go beyond the veil of illusion. Truth is waiting there. Peace and love.